All right, Meghan Klingenberg, welcome to Out of the Spotlight.
Oh, stoked to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. It's been too long.
I know.
I think the last time we saw each other was during your pasta making class that you hosted, which I absolutely failed.
Oh my gosh, did you fail? There's no failing that. That's just that's just fun. So there's no failing.
It wasn't pasta what I made. I don't know what I made. So my Italian ancestors were definitely not proud of me that day.
Ooh. Are we making orecchiette?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
I think it was orecchiette. Yeah. It was delicious. Maybe yours wasn't that good.
Mine was like angel hair pasta or something.
Ooh, crushing glow.
Yeah. So how are you? Did you get to relax at all during the off season?
You're funny. Absolutely not. No, this off season was not restful, I would say. But that's okay. It was nice. I got to spend a lot of time with family. I did take one trip purely for myself, and I went to Hawaii just all by myself.
Ooh.
And literally did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, without having to think of anybody. I turned off my phone. I basically went off the grid for like 7 days, and it was one of the best things that I've done for myself in a long time.
I'm so proud of you. I love that. Did you plan it, or were you kind of just like last minute, you're like, I'm doing it, I'm booking this?
I was like sitting in my family room in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Christmas Eve, looking around at my family, being like, wow, I really love them, but I need to get away. And so I was sitting on the couch. Everybody was like talking. They said, what are you doing over there on your phone? Like, be present. I was like, give me 30 minutes. And they're like, okay. So 30 minutes later, I put my phone down. They're like, what did you just do? I was like, I just booked an entire trip to Hawaii. They're like, shut up. I was like, yeah, I found a ticket from Portland for $266 round trip, and I did it. And they're like, you're nuts. I was like, this is my Christmas gift to me.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
Well, I love that they knew you were up to something.
Oh, that's not hard to tell because I feel like I'm always up to something, you know?
Yeah. Well, I am so proud of you, and it's been an honor to watch you kill it year after year. And you're honestly one of my favorite people, and you are not only such a badass soccer player, but you're an amazing human too.
Oh,
so, and you're hilarious. So,
wow, you really know how to like build up a girl's ego.
Well, I truly mean it. And yeah, so it's going to be so interesting to go over, like interview you. I mean, I've interviewed you before, but not like this, It's always been, I've kind of just been around for the ride. I've watched you succeed a lot. We've never really talked about it. So, but yeah, I'm excited.
Well, now that we're going to talk about it, we're going to do it publicly.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I like to always start this off with going back in time. Let's take it back to the beginning and let's talk about little Meghan.
Gosh, that's scary.
Tell us, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Sure. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I was born there. My family is from there. My great grandpa, my Bishnono, he immigrated over to the United States from Italy back in the early 1900s. And then he met my great grandma. They got married here. She was also from Italy and immigrated here as well. And then every generation of my family has lived in Pittsburgh since. So my grandma, my mom, my dad, and my brother still lives there. So I'm very proud of my hometown, and I love my hometown. I think it's a great place, one of my favorite places in the whole world. And yeah, that's like I could talk about Pittsburgh for hours, so I'll cut it off there.
Which that's something that I think to know you is to know how much you love Pittsburgh, and also to know you, I feel, is to know how much you love Drew, your brother. I feel like to know you is to know at least something about Drew.
That's so true.
It is. So what was it like growing up for you? And, kind of what were you like as a kid? Were you outgoing? Were you shy?
Yeah. To know me is to know that I love Drew. He is such a gem. He's probably like my favorite person. But poor Drew, growing up, he had to deal with me. I was very shy when I was little, and Drew was really outgoing. And as we got older, it kind of flip-flopped. I became really outgoing, and Drew became more shy and introverted. It's kind of funny. And he's 5 years younger than me. So growing up, I always loved Drew. I thought he was great, but I didn't want him tagging along with me. And my dad, he was also the youngest as well. And so he knew what it felt like to be Drew. And so he had this real soft spot for him, and he used to make me have him tag along and all these things. I was like, Dad, I'm a 16-year-old person trying to go to the movies with my friends. I'm not trying to bring my 10-year-old brother along with me, you know? But he tagged along in a lot of places, and looking back, I'm really glad that that's the way that it was. I think probably Drew might have a different idea of how childhood was than me.
Different version.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we'll get his version next.
Oh, we will. I'll invite him.
And he will. That's the sad part.
Oh, I'm not even joking. If he's on board, I would love that.
Oh, God, please no.
Well, were you always into sports or kind of, I know you did karate.
Yes.
Karate.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was always into sports. I think I didn't know it when I was little, but one of my biggest intelligences, because there's all different types of intelligences, is knowing how to move my body. And I learn in a kinesthetic way. So I learn by feeling and moving. So for me, learning about my body and learning about athletics and learning about fitness always came really natural to me. And so part of that is just athletics and sports in general. And I used to do everything. I mean, yes, karate, but also I used to like skateboard and scooter and ride my bicycle everywhere, play football, baseball, climb trees, built forts. Like I did anything that you could possibly think of outside. That's what I did. I was outside, especially in the summer, from like as soon as I ate breakfast till my mom and dad call me home for dinner at night. Yeah, and it was an awesome childhood that way.
And how did you come across soccer? Like, how was it introduced to you? Was it at school, your parents? How did that connection happen?
Well, my cousins, when I was growing up, my grandma always had Sunday dinner at her house every Sunday. It was a pretty Italian thing to do. And we did it. So we used to have 4 generations of family all in one house eating dinner at the time. So my beach nono all the way down to, me, my brother, and my cousins. And so my aunt and her family also lived there. My grandma lived 5 minutes from us. And so every Sunday we would just go over there and have dinner. And then sometimes our extended family would come too. And my grandma had this really awesome house. And in the back there was like a nice backyard with a hill. And then there was like a fence to the neighbors that we were really close to. So we could like throw and kick balls off the wall. And, we would always play outside. My grandma would cook. Everybody else would drink, and we would play sports in the backyard. And so one time my cousins started playing soccer. I guess they started doing it recreationally for the school. And so I saw them doing that, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this too. Because, of course, I'm going to do what my cousins do, So I started playing, and I was actually, like, really bad at it. Like, really bad. My dad was telling me a story a while ago, and he was saying that, he was like, we were very embarrassed of you when you first started playing. We were very embarrassed of you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you were so bad that we wouldn't tell people you were our kid. I'm like, get out of here. And he's like, no, you were so bad. And he's like, but then by the end of the season, something finally clicked and you got it. And you started understanding soccer, but they were like, yeah, we were like, maybe you should stick to softball,
Were you like maybe playing the wrong position, or what was going on?
I don't think there was positions back then. There was just no. I don't know what it was. I guess I had never played a sport with my feet before like that.
That makes sense.
And so I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember being that bad, but this is what they tell me. They told me I was absolutely awful.
I love it. I love his honesty.
Yeah, they never sugarcoated anything. I'll tell you that.
And then obviously you ended up playing in high school. So I guess at what moment did you decide to stick to soccer, where you were kind of like, okay, this is something that I'm actually not bad at, Dad?
Well, I don't think I ever had that moment with soccer, really. But I did have a moment when I was like way younger, like 9, and it's a story I tell a lot, but it's one that was like one of the biggest defining moments of my life, where my mom and I used to take these spontaneous road trips, and she would just take me out of school on a Friday or on a Thursday, and we would cruise somewhere and then spend the weekend doing some quality time somewhere. And we would just, go different places. Sometimes it was just like we would go to the mall, and then sometimes we would go to like North Carolina Outer Banks. And so this was one of those times where we went to North Carolina Outer Banks. And we were just cruising down there for some quality time. And Mom's like, "Oh, I have a surprise for you." And it was a Friday, and we were driving down, and we had to pass through Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And she's like, "I was looking it up, and the Tar Heels have a game tonight, soccer game." I was like, "Oh, cool." So we went, and I was watching, and I saw the Tar Heels absolutely obliterate the other team. I mean, there was not even a chance. They were faster, stronger, smarter, better, played more as a team, and they were ferocious. And I was enamored with them. I was like, wow, these women are so kick-ass. And I was like, I'm going here. Like, this is my goal. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. I want to be exactly like these women. And so, kind of from that moment, when I was 9 and saw these women play soccer, I knew that that's where I wanted to be and how I wanted to be.
I did not know that. And can you tell us where you went to college? Like
Yeah,
what?
I ended up going to Chapel Hill.
That is amazing. And you were 9. Like what?
I know. What a weird little 9-year-old.
Gosh, I love that. And the fact that you had that dream at 9 and then you made it come true. So like, would you say like during high school, that was your goal? You were like, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah. And I started getting like all these recruiting letters. And one of the only fights me and my mom have ever, like screaming matches me and my mom have ever had was about the college recruiting. Because I was like, oh, I really want to go to UNC. And she's like, I don't think you should go there. I don't think you'll start your freshman year. Like all these doubts, right? And I was like, I feel like I'll regret it if I don't try, if I don't give it a shot. And so it was a huge fight we got in, and I can't exactly tell you the story, but it's like Klingenberg lore. Like we literally, it's a story that we tell over and over and over again because it's so funny. And if you get Drew actually on your podcast, you should ask him about this story because he will tell you, because he's like one of the funniest parts of the whole thing.
Oh, I will. I can't wait. So we'll save that story for him.
Yeah, you should.
Well, after college, obviously, you had a very successful career there. Your college soccer career was pretty freaking good. And after that, you eventually were drafted, right? Mm-hmm. By the then WPS, which no longer exists, but you got drafted. Yes. So when did you figure out that soccer is what you wanted to do full time?
Well, I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do full time probably until like I was in college. Because there was no pro league. Like growing up, UNC and national team, that was it, right? And so there wasn't really many opportunities to become a pro player. And so I didn't really I didn't even have the opportunity to have that dream, which I'm so glad that now young girls growing up, young people can have that dream of being in the NWSL. That's so cool. But yeah, we didn't even have that opportunity. So it wasn't really until college that I was like, oh yeah, maybe this could be a thing.
Yeah.
So the draft happened, and honestly, it was funny because it was pretty anticlimactic. I was in 2000, it was turning 2011 January. I got called into the national team for the first time.
Yes.
And it's like Abby Wambach, it's Hope Solo, it's Carly Lloyd, it's Megan Rapinoe, it's, the crew at the time, and it's Pia Sundhage as the coach. So I go into January camp. It's like a 40-person camp, and she's like, okay, 2 weeks of it is going to be here in USA, 2 weeks of it is going to be in China. And so my goal was to just like get on that roster to go to China. And I don't know how I did this because I think that I was like shitting my pants the entire time, like gastrointestinal issues, like just so nervous that she's not okay. You know what I mean? TMI, but like I feel like people need to know that stuff.
Oh, they do.
People need to know that shit. Literally, pun intended.
Literally.
So, anyways, I somehow being really dehydrated got a call to go to China. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to China. That is absolutely wild. So I get on a plane to go to China. I put my name in the draft. I land in China, and they're like, oh, you got drafted.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, what? So we knew the draft was happening, but I had no idea, like, I mean, it's a pretty big deal now. Like, and I would have loved for it to
Yeah.
have been a big deal for me. That would be a really awesome experience. But no, I was on a plane to China.
Dehydrated.
Dehydrated.
Oh, that's okay. So I think in my head I had it backwards. I thought it was draft and then you were called to the national team. So it was actually the other way around.
Kind of. It's more like simultaneously, I guess.
Yeah, that's so wild.
Yeah.
Speaking of the U.S. women's national team, and obviously you made your debut, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it against Canada?
In China?
Was
I know that I got my first cap while I was there. I think it was against China against Canada in China.
That's pretty freaking amazing.
Oh, thanks.
It is. Was there a player that you looked up to at that time?
Oh, my favorite player was always Michelle Akers. Like, by far. Absolutely animal. Like, animal out there. In spirit, but also I kind of feel like physically, too. Like, she had, like, this lion's mane of hair. And you couldn't look away. I mean, it was so badass. So I always loved watching her, and she was a huge inspiration. I loved, all of the women on the national team. I thought they were kick-ass, but Michelle Akers really stood out to me.
After that, eventually, you moved to Sweden.
Yes.
And I remember you telling me a while back that this was just such a very important part of your not only soccer growth, but personal growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what was that experience like for you?
Well, it was the first time that I've really lived somewhere by myself where I'd known nobody. It was a really different experience. So it took a little bit of time for me to adjust to that, but eventually I was like, you know what? Nobody knows me here. I can be free. I can be anything that I want to be. There's no preconceived notions of who I am here. And I was like, that's really freeing, actually. Like, I can be my most authentic self here. And so I was like, well, who is that? I think every person has that moment,
Absolutely.
I'm sure you have. And so
yes,
I set out exploring kind of like who I am from like a personal side, a spiritual side, whether it's sexuality or all of these different things, just kind of figuring out who I am, who I want to be, and, just kind of living it, and appreciating the journey. So from soccer-wise, yeah, it was this huge growth moment, but then also from a life journey, it was a paradigm shift in how I thought about who I was and how I expressed myself in the world and how I interacted with the world.
Would you say that's the biggest lesson that you learned there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the funny part is, like, we have these moments in our lives where we have these, like, aha, these, like, sudden illuminations, these moments of clarity, right? And they can't happen when you're distracted. They can't happen when you're out at a club partying. They can't happen when you're distracted by your phone. They just like don't happen that way. You know what I mean? They have to happen from stillness, from like just resting in the moment, being fully present, being just comfortable in whatever moment you're in. And Sweden really helped me to be like, okay, well, even if I want to be on my phone, I can't because I'm on a totally different schedule than everybody that I know. They're all sleeping. So it doesn't matter if I'm on my phone or not, right? So I had a lot of time just like being off my phone, being fully present. And I'm so thankful for that because if I was attached to my phone, if I was FaceTiming all the time, if I was talking, like texting my friends, then I never would have had that growth moment. And so that's really stood out to me a lot moving forward, and I try and put my phone down as much as I can and like have moments of stillness to be able to like have those moments of clarity or sudden illumination or whatever.
And you're so good at that. I feel that's something I learned from you.
Really?
Yeah, you're so good at putting your phone away, and you're just I remember you were very disciplined with that. And I mean, for me, usually I would have it out all the time because of work, but I remember you would be like, no, I'm putting it away, or it's 9 p.m. I'm going to put my phone in. Yeah. You're really good at that.
Thanks.
Just something I remember.
That's hilarious.
The little things, I'm telling you, I have the worst memory, but the things I remember are just so random sometimes.
That is so random, but I appreciate that that's one of the things that you remember, honestly.
Well, and then speaking of Houston, finally 2014, you were selected by the Houston Dash, and that's when we met.
Woo!
And that was so much fun. Yeah. Such a fun experience, and it was just so cool to see the growth of women's soccer, and a lot of it had to do because of you, and it was through you, to see the excitement in Houston in the league, to see all these little girls, just so stoked to say hi to Kling or to get an autograph, to take pictures. It was just so beautiful to see. I felt like I had front row tickets to I technically did, but it was like events and no games and all of that.
Yeah,
so
really
I really did. How was it to go from, what you mentioned, that this was kind of like a dream that you had, but it wasn't reality. And then suddenly you were living out that dream and you were being such a role model.
Oh, thanks. It was a weird transition to go from Sweden to Houston, I'll tell you that.
H-Town.
Yeah, it's literally like the most liberal, like cold, pristine place in the world, and then going to Houston, which is like rowdy, loud, conservative, hot as hell.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like I went from like winter to winter because I had literally just finished winter in Sweden and I was finally getting to go outside again. And then in Houston, it's so goddamn hot that it feels like winter because you have to stay inside again, like all the
Yeah. Yeah.
So that transition was really tough, actually. But what made it good is the people, like meeting you and my host family, the Van Gundys. I loved staying with them. I still keep in touch with them, actually, and they're just like really good people with really, really big hearts and are incredibly generous. And I honestly don't know if people understand how much they did for the Houston Dash organization and for women's soccer for like 3 or 4 years while the league was just starting up. Like they would attend all of the games, they would host players, they would, give their house and their time and their hearts to the people that would come stay with them. And that was it was really different going from like living alone or not living alone, but just like living with my peers to living with a family. I was like, wow, I haven't been in a family situation in a very long time. And it was really lovely. We would have like our pancake Sundays and we would eat a shit ton of Torchy's tacos. And I would cook for them sometimes because they just did not like to cook and I did. But yeah, it was really wonderful. And the team was always filled with like really good people. And so it was nice to be around back in the US, doing my thing, playing soccer, but back home.
Yeah. And shout out to the Van Gundys because you're so right. They did so much for the team. I wanted to help so much. Like, okay, can we just get them can we get like a little team house
or
right?
Like we get
some apartments?
Housing.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it worked out because you met them and they're good people.
They're real good people. Yeah.
And it was during your time in Houston that you went off and you did a little thing called the Women's World Cup.
Oh, that little thing.
A World Cup champion. So, I mean, that was huge. And again, just such a historical moment. So, props to you and the team.
Oh, thanks.
And let's not forget, you started in every match of the tournament.
My body will never forget that. It was wild. I'd never felt that level of celebrity before. And it was really hard to handle. I don't think that I did well with it. And honestly, I don't really like it. I don't really love being known. That's like my least favorite part of the job, actually. I love interacting with people and I love interacting with like young soccer players, but I do not like the like transactional nature of it, if you will. Like I want to have conversations with kids and I want to have conversations with people and I want to talk to them about soccer and what they love about it and how it brings them a sense of community and what they're passionate about in terms of like the national team or the Thorns or the Dash or whatever. So that kind of conversation I'm always down for, unless I'm like,
Sorry.
unless I'm running out the door
Yeah.
to get someplace on time. But it's funny because I think a lot of people are really, really like that part of it, and that's totally cool. But I'm just not. I don't think I'm well equipped for that part. That's a funny thing.
No, I can relate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like there were events or things that I was around and I saw it and I think I would get anxiety for y'all. I absolutely would. But props to you because you're right. I mean, you were doing so much press and People magazine and all of these segments and interviews and satellite interviews. It was wild. 2015 was crazy. And I got to see just a little bit of it. So let alone what you went through.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was a totally different, oh man, it was totally different life. And honestly, one that I did not handle very well, I don't think.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I was like, oh wow, these are like really cool opportunities. I should do them. And then I hated it. Like I hated doing that.
Been there, yeah.
But it did help me realize kind of like what I like and what I don't, what I'm good at, what I'm not, what brings me energy and what just like drains me. And so I had to go through that to kind of figure out what I want to do, how I want to do it. And so then I learned about boundaries.
Mm-hmm. I love that word.
And then how to enforce them with love and care. Because like boundaries essentially to me are just like the way in which I can love people best. And so when I started thinking of it that way, instead of like letting people down, it's not me letting people down. It's just the point to which I can love people best. Like this is how this is going to allow me to be me and love them the best way that I can love them. Give them like energy and attention the best way that I can give them attention. Because otherwise, if I'm interacting with people in a way that isn't serving me, then I feel like it's not serving them either. And it just doesn't feel right. And so now I, try and you're always going to have to do things in life that aren't necessarily like, things that you don't want to do, like taxes, like taxes. But not saying that interacting with people is like taxes, because I don't think that. It's just that it's just that sometimes, like, if I just get like 5 seconds with every person that's like coming through, to me that's really overwhelming. But if I get like 5 minutes with 10 people, I would much rather do that than sign something for 5 seconds with 5,000 people. So I just try and pick opportunities where I can, be a bit more myself than before.
And it's funny because right now you took me back to, this is so random, but Abby Wambach's retirement, and when she announced to the entire stadium where the team was going to be after, and I remember you were like, oh my gosh, she just announced the entire like sold out stadium where we're going to be after. And I'm not going to lie, I was just like, oh, it'll be okay. And then we show up and there's like a crowd waiting outside the House of Blues.
It was not just a crowd. It was like an entire street filled of people. Like, I was like, oh my God, how do we get in there? And then I was like, then how do we get out? Oh man.
Do you remember how we got out? I don't even know if we should air this part, but the manager manager took us through a back door.
That's actually epic.
It was like underground.
Did we run?
I remember that.
Did we have to run straight to a taxi?
Yes, it was Uber. I remember that because I was just like, what is happening? Like, what is this?
Oh my gosh.
That was a wild year for sure.
I know. That's why I can't imagine like Pino's life, for instance, as a A-list celebrity. I'm like, oh my God, she's still doing this. Like, thank God my life has like died down to a normal level. I'm like, oh, praise Lord. So I don't know how Pino does it. Props to her for enduring.
I don't either.
The word is enduring.
Enduring. Yeah, that was crazy. And you ended up going to the White House. You met President Barack Obama. No big deal. You got the keys to the city, New York.
And Pittsburgh.
That's right. Yeah. What's the biggest one? Hands down.
Oh, for sure. It's pretty cool. It works in every lock in the city.
Seriously?
No.
Like, what?
That'd be dope as hell, though.
That would be. But obviously, all good things must come to an end. And you left Houston. That was so sad. I was so bummed. But yeah, you left and joined your current team, the Portland Thorns, which Not too shabby, huh? Not too bad of a team to join.
Yeah, it hasn't gone too badly here.
I mean, you went to win the 2017 NWSL final and
Yep.
now 2022. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been so much fun to watch you and the team and just the success. And your fans are amazing. Such good fans.
Yeah, they really are.
So talk to us about last year, 2022. How would you describe last season?
Last season was it was tough. I think there was a lot of things that people know are going on because of investigations and things like that that have happened at the Thorns before, and then the fallout from that and how everybody's having to deal with that. On top of that, we had a new coach and a totally new system of how they wanted us to play with a different type of culture that they were instilling into the group. So there was a lot of different things going on at one time. In fact, the crazy part was, I think in 2020 and in 2021, the Thorns were far and away the best team in the league and possibly the world. Like, say what you want, but we didn't win 2020 the finals, but we won the Shield, we won the Challenge Cup, and we won the ICC, which is the International Champions Cup, against Barcelona and Lyon. So it was we had a really good team in 2021, like best I've ever played on probably. And then, in 2022 at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh my God, we are so bad. I'm like, how do we go from winning the Shield, should be winning the final, to being this bad in preseason? I'm like, oh my God. So it was actually pretty jarring, and I was like, oh, this is not good. But then the really cool part about the team was everybody was on this journey together, and our team, I think, probably is best at the league in creating a culture that people want to be a part of, that helps people become better, that respects each other. The locker room gets along really well, and it's just a great culture to be in. And we've done a lot of work on that, and we've been working on that for years. And so I always think it's funny when everybody's like, oh yeah, this team's traded for this player and they're going to be the best team this year, and this team's going to be the best because they did this. And I'm like, okay, well, this core group of players has been playing together for 4 years now, and we've been working on respect between each other, how each of us gets in our zone, what tendencies each person has, how are they feeling, what's going on in their personal life, checking in, doing all these different things. And people don't understand that kind of work just takes time. Getting to know somebody and who they are, their character, how they interact with their teammates, how to get the best out of them, that just takes time. You can't learn that in a 6-week preseason. I don't care how good you are. So we had that for us. We always had that going for us. And what is amazing about this group is the commitment to each other. And so that commitment has never left. That commitment's still here today. And if you take a look throughout the season, we got better and better and better until by the end of the year, I think we were the best team in the league, and then proved that we were the best team in the league. And that was it was tough though. Last year was really hard. And I don't think many people know how hard the year was. It was hard for me personally. It was hard for us professionally. And I think, that's two of the biggest parts of people's lives is, personal life and then professional life. And so when both of them are hard, it's sometimes you go to one to escape the other and just be fully present in your job. And so people weren't able to do that. Going to their job was not easy last year. So I'm really proud of the group in never giving up, in their relentless spirit, their commitment to each other, and how much you could see how much we cared for each other by how we pushed each other, how we showed up for each other. And yeah, that was cool about last year, but none of it was easy.
Yeah. And that's something I was talking about during my last interview, that sometimes people don't see the behind the scenes, right? You just go to a game, you kind of just see the finished product as in the result. Oh, the score, who won. But hearing you say this, yeah, I mean, for someone that just watched the game or even just watched the final, they wouldn't know this.
No,
Like they wouldn't.
No, they would have no idea. And it's probably good that they don't. But the really cool part about our team is that obviously we play sports for a living, so results do matter to our job security, to, you know, our fans and everything. But to us, we really tried to put those aside and made a commitment to the journey and made a commitment to the process. And for us, we know like what makes us great now. And if we are committed to being the best at those three things that we know make us the best team in the league, then we know that like results will follow. So what we've tried to do was create a culture of purpose instead of culture of results. Because I think once we focus on outcome, we start putting all of these limits on ourselves, and we put limits on, you know, who the team could be, who we can be. And I don't want to be in the business of limiting myself or my teammates, especially when the destination could be so far outside of our wildest dreams. Like, why would I ever want to take that away from us? So we knew that, like, for us to be our best, we need to focus on being brave and taking risks and taking chances. We need to focus on, you know, putting the team first. We need to focus on, you know, playing with joy. And so a lot of the things that we, you know, were trying to do last year was like being committed to those different values that we have. And I think like once we kept strengthening those values, it's like this snowball effect where the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger and rolling down the hill faster and faster and faster, and you can't stop it. And so that's the way that I see our journey.
I love it. What can we expect from the team this season?
Actually, I want people to have no expectations.
Ooh.
I think they
like
should
that.
release the expectations for the group. And I think that they should trust in our journey and trust in our process and trust that it's about, like, the funny thing is that people think it's like about who's holding the trophy at the end of the year. But that to me just makes the whole rest of the year seem pointless. And I don't want the rest of the year to be like, there is so much value in showing up every day and being with your teammates and getting to know them and working hard together and getting in the locker room, getting in the weight room, getting out on the field together. Like, there's so much value in being there every single day. Otherwise we would just show up in November on the final and just play that game, right? If there wasn't value in being there every day. And so I would like people to just like release the expectations and be able to show up like with joy and just like be open to being surprised and like be open to being curious and be open to being like having like the joy of arriving, if you will, because it might, like, the moment will definitely be surprising. Who knows what's going to happen this season? Nobody knows. Like, as much as I want to control results, they're completely out of my control, especially, you know, with field conditions, referees, like, just like there could be a random ball that bounces weird and it goes in, and you could be a better team for 99 minutes out of the 100, right? And so I just think to enjoy the season and to see what could happen, people should release expectations, and like I said, it could be beyond their wildest dreams.
I love that. Okay, we're almost done, I promise. I know, like, we talk a lot.
It's me. I know. It's me.
You're good.
I'm the problem.
It's me. I'm the problem.
Yeah, I know. Taylor Swift should have never made that song.
Love her. I know, right?
Quoted way too much now.
And we'll be right back with some rapid fire questions.
All right. It's called Steph It Up.
Oh! Ooh, yeah. Hit me.
If you had to choose one of the following for the rest of your life,
Ooh.
which one would it be? Sneakers
Sneakers.
or French fries? Favorite show to binge watch?
Oh, Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's a good one. Love it. Did you watch what's it called? The new one?
Dragon.
Yeah, did you watch it?
Yeah, but I thought it was average.
Same. Okay. Favorite singer?
Tina Turner.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Freddie Mercury.
Oh, Queen. Ow! Ow!
Okay. If you were stranded on a deserted island, name 3 Thorns teammates that you would want there with you and why. Like, how would they help you perhaps leave the island?
Becky Sauerbrunn, because I know she would never eat me. and she's my bestie. Bella Bixby, because she knows all about forestry, plant, like what plants to eat, what plants not to eat, how to pitch a tent, all that shit. Yeah.
How does she know this?
Oh, because it's her master's.
No way. That's amazing.
Yeah, she's really cool. So anytime I have questions about like the environment or outside things, I always ask her. And then
Smart.
let's see. I'll just pick those two.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think that's it.
Yeah, and if we add you in the mix, 3 of you would definitely get out. You would entertain them.
Well, yes, and also like I think that I could do like the hunting. Like it wouldn't take me that long to learn. And I can pitch a tent. I'm pretty decent with fires. I mean, I feel like I would need.
I feel like you've practiced.
Becky would for sure take me on her team, like no doubt about it. But like I would probably need to pitch myself to Bella. Like I feel like Bella wouldn't just like pick me. I'd have to like convince her to let me be like on her team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, last one. Okay, well, have you worked on your English accent since we did our last Q&A?
Don't make me.
Okay, well, you have to answer this last question in your best English accent. What is your go-to coffee order?
Tea and crumpets. That's all you get. You're done.
Okay, so what's something that you've learned about yourself during your professional career?
There's a lot of things. Do you want me to pick just one?
2.
2. No, I'm gonna pick
Maybe
one.
2.
My world, I guess. I think that you don't know what's gonna happen. You could have injuries. You could be cut from teams. You could be traded. Anything can happen in this league, in any league, in any life, in any day. Like, that's just life.
Any job.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So I guess the thing that I have learned and am learning, because it's simple but it's not easy, is to surrender to what is. And so I have this saying now where I'm like, okay, I'm going to either solve it or accept it. And so if something's going on in my life and I'm like, okay, I don't really like this situation, now I put it to the question, can I solve it? And if I can't solve it, then I have to accept it exactly as it is. And honestly, that's taken away so much anxiety from my life, because now I'm not focused on things that I can't control. I'm only on focused things that I can. And honestly, that has helped me have less anxiety. That's helped me enjoy the game more. And it's helped me become a better person and a better player.
I think for the longest time, I tried controlling things a lot. And I've learned, do your best, prepare, but just don't overwhelm yourself with all the what ifs, or what if that happens, or what if that doesn't happen.
Well, those things aren't even real, right? Like that's all in the future. That's like the definition of anxiety is like worrying about.
It's me. I'm the problem.
It's so many people. It's not just you. It's we. So like that's the future. We have no idea what the future is. The past doesn't exist anymore. The future isn't real, and the only thing that is right now, this moment, in this exact second. And so, as much as we can stay in this moment, being present is, the most important thing that we could probably do. Because, of course, we have to plan. We have to prepare. But then once we do that, come back into the moment, because all of the actual stuff that you're going to do in the plan is in the now. Like, you can't do the things that are in the plan in the future. You know what I mean? You have to do them in the present.
I will apply that. I'll listen to you.
Wow, that's a first.
I know. I will. And mental health is so important. And I love that people are speaking on it more these days. I do like that, because I can't remember, when I was in my teens, or we were, I can't tell you one person that perhaps spoke on it and we were there to say, oh my gosh, it's okay. And we have to do this, do that. Right. So how do you take care of yourself during the ups and downs of not only your career, but life?
Ooh, geez. Well, I have an awesome support system, and my family, my brother,
Drew,
shout out. They're amazing. My friends are I'm blessed to have friends and relationships with them that are not dictated by proximity. They're dictated by like quality time and caring. So I feel really blessed in that way. And then I started meditating a lot actually, and I meditate every day now, which I know is kind of wild thinking about like how high energy I am. But I
Yes.
just take the time every morning and sometimes in the afternoon to just like sit and be and just completely rest and put everything aside and just be completely in that moment and then remind myself that when I'm there in that moment, nothing can hurt me. I have no problems in that moment. I have no worries in that moment. I have no anxieties in that moment. All I am is just me and I'm being. And honestly that even just 5 minutes a day helps me to recenter, remember who my authentic self is, and then be able to like come back into the present. And then, just I have I made it a priority to get a coach in the like mental wellness space.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and so his name's Jason, as he's legitimately one of my favorite people in the world. And I didn't want to do therapy. I think therapy is great, and I wouldn't mind doing therapy. And I have done therapy before. I think it's amazing. But I don't like how therapists don't give advice. I think like sometimes I
Yeah.
want them to interact with me. I want them to,
Say something.
yeah, like give it to me straight. Like, am I being
Yeah.
ridiculous here? Like, tell me. And so developing that kind of relationship with a coach is different than a therapist. And so I really like having, Jason in my life for many reasons because he's just a wonderful man. But on top of that, he's just really wonderful at his job. He's like best in the world at what he does. And so talking through like soccer things with him, personal things with him, really helps me get a different perspective instead of living inside my own head and telling myself stories about what's happening, what could be happening, what actually is happening. So I try to like take it in different things, like do the things that I can do, for my own nourishment and meditation and, doing things that I need for me. But then also like going outside of me and getting help when I need it.
I'm so proud of
Oh,
you. I
thank you.
really am.
It's been a journey, and it's always a journey, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure for you
always.
too. It's like not a one-stop shop sort of thing. You're like show up, you're
No,
like I'm fixed,
no,
and then you go home. It's like it's a journey for your whole
never.
life.
It really is. And it's, making decisions that make you happy, even like going back to what you were saying about that you didn't handle that time, like 2015 World Cup well, but I think you did. You were taking care of yourself. Like that's not really something that makes you feel comfortable doing all this and press and talking to so many people. And that's good because you're acknowledging, you know who you are, and that's, anyway, I've had to do a lot of those things too, where I've had to say no to things
Yeah.
because it's not good for me or it's not helping me. It's giving me anxiety. I don't know if I'm going to air this part, but
You should.
I won't say the name just because
Okay.
there was a company that wanted me to do traffic reporting. So like morning traffic and, 6 p.m. news and 10 p.m. and talk about the traffic and they were just hyping me up like you're going to be on TV. And eventually I was like, you know what? It's not about being on TV for me. I don't care. Like someone might be like, heck yeah, look at me. Let's talk about the cars and the accidents. But I was like, it's not for me. It's not about how much I'm on camera. That was giving me anxiety because I don't love it.
Yeah.
I'm not passionate about it. So, and they got so mad at me. I don't care. But I had to make that decision of, you know what? It's not for me. It's for someone else.
I'm glad you
but
did
yes,
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. You should always do things that you love,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of that, what advice would you give to aspiring professional soccer players out there?
Oh, this one's always the hardest question.
Yeah.
I would say that I wish I knew some of the things that of course everybody would say this, but I wish I knew some things when I was younger, that I talked about earlier about outcome. Honestly, how it doesn't matter. And the reason that I play soccer isn't for trophies. I don't play because of winning and losing. I don't play because of being better than anybody else. Like, yes, I love to win, and yes, I don't want to lose every game that I play, but I know that when I'm being me, it's going to be good enough to help my team win. And for me to be me, I had to find out what my purpose is in life, and then soccer actually helps me fulfill my purpose in life. And so I would say there are different types of athletes. There are results driven athletes, there are process driven athletes, and then there are purpose driven athletes. And I would say that for you to be healthy and joyful and feel fulfilled and passionate in your career, that you should be a purpose driven athlete and figure out what your purpose is and how soccer helps you to live out your purpose. Because then every day that you show up isn't about winning and losing, it's about your purpose and how to fulfill it. And then your career becomes so much more fulfilling. And you feel like you have so much purpose. And when you feel fulfilled and have purpose, then that is winning.
And what do you wish for the future of women's soccer?
Well, I wish that it wasn't called women's soccer.
So true.
I wish that it was just called soccer, especially now because we have a lot of non-binary or trans players in our league, and I'm sure that are growing up and being comfortable with their sexuality, and I would never want to limit those people because I think that those limitations are bullshit, and why shouldn't somebody live out their dreams just based on gender? It doesn't feel right to me. So I hope that people stop calling it women's soccer. My wish is that the work that I'm doing right now and that my teammates are doing, it will create a level playing field, figuratively and literally. And that the people that play soccer that aren't men are able to create a life and a living and a purpose in this game that I love and that we love, and that we leave it better than we found it, which I think we are. So, I mean, there's like a lot of work that needs to be done and that we are doing. But my wish is that, one, we would stop calling it women's soccer, and two, that we can leave it better than we found it. But I think that we're well on our way.
I think so too. I think it's been a big change from when I first started, when I was told, hey, there's a new team coming to Houston. What should we name it? Chris Canetti. He's like, there's 3 options. I forgot what they were, but one of them was Dash.
Oh, well, obviously. I wish you remembered.
I'm going to have to ask him. Yeah, so I'll text you and let you know.
Well, what is your wish for the game?
Gosh, I would say the same thing as you, but also I know this is like because of social media, but I hate the petty comments. I want to get to a point where people see things as, okay, that's unfair. But that to me, it's like knocking sense into some people, and I know I can't control that, but I want it.
I don't think that'll happen. I really, no offense. And I don't want you to shit on your wish at all. I'm sorry. I actually think it's a great wish. I don't think the wish is bad. I just think that social media is bad. I just can't go on there anymore. I just don't go on.
And I'm just I just hope that one day it's just common sense. Like, some things aren't right, period.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think without accountability online, there will never be common sense, unfortunately. People hide behind that. And I wish that would be different, but I also know the anonymity brings out the worst in people. It's crazy. I just don't go on there anymore. I think it's bad for our health. And so I limit myself to 30 minutes a day on all platforms. And that's it. I do not go on anymore.
Yeah. I told you, you're so disciplined.
But I hate it
with your phone.
It never makes me feel good. It gives me anxiety. I never feel good about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And I refuse to download TikTok. There's no world in which
I don't have the TikTok.
The TikTok. I will never have it.
I don't have it.
Ever.
Mm-mm.
I'm surprised you
It's not on my phone. Here's the thing. I like posting work stuff, and I love doing things like this that to me, it's inspiring. You're making a difference. You really are. And I like that I get to share your story. But as far as, look at me, I'm going to do a dance now. That's not my thing. It's just not.
No, but I could see you being really enjoying the TikTok. No. The TikToks that talk about books or movies or TV shows or whatever. I could see you like getting into that and be like, oh, these people have great theories about where the show is going.
Don't tempt me. I'm about to go do like a book review right now.
Yeah, exactly. No, but have you seen that show, The Last of Us?
I have not yet.
Oh my God,
no.
you need to watch that shit.
Okay.
Pandemics are like my greatest fear. And I'm serious. And this is like about a pandemic, a zombie apocalypse pandemic. Okay? It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And it horrifies me and thrills
But you're
me.
watching it.
Simultaneously thrills and horrifies me. It's the best show on TV.
Oh, I don't know if I feel like I'm going to get so much anxiety, but I'll try it for you, just for you. I will try it.
There's like this one.
And if I can't sleep at night, I'm going to text you.
I understand that. I should have to like keep my ringer on for a whole night just because. No, but there's like this one really amazing episode, this love story about these two men in the third episode, where usually like I feel like they don't go very deep on queer love stories and backstories and things like that, and usually like one of them dies and it's so freaking tragic, and like the relationship is so short-lived. It's like this trope in like queer culture. So anyways, but this episode is not like that at all. It like busts up like all of the tropes, and it's like a really beautiful love story between these two men. And like honestly, if you only could watch one episode because you're too scared, skip them all and watch that one.
Okay. That's the third one?
Yeah,
you said?
the third one, yeah.
Okay. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll report back then. I can handle that.
Yeah, you definitely can. You definitely can.
Okay. Well, last question, because I really want to talk about your lifestyle brand, Re-Ink.
Ooh.
So you created this alongside Megan Rapinoe, Kristen Press, Tobin Heath. So how did this idea come together?
Yeah, the origin story is a bit long, so I won't give you that. But essentially, the short version is that in 2015, we won the World Cup, and honestly, we didn't earn that much money, but a lot of other people did. So whether it was like TV rights holders, FIFA, sponsors, media, people made a crap ton of money off of our hard work, and we didn't. And we thought that was wrong. So we figured out that ownership is pretty much the most important piece of, leveling the playing field for women in sport. And so we decided to create our own company and, own it and see how, ownership could change the landscape for us. And so that's how Re-Ink was born. And so it's basically a brand that champions, equality and equity through art and through creativity and through our clothes. And so we went about creating, a lifestyle brand, but I think it's more than that. And hopefully you'll see in the next couple of months, like how much bigger it actually is than just, wearing a hat. But we think that like our clothes give the people that wear them the confidence to be their most authentic selves. And when you are your most authentic self, then you start to change your reality into whatever you want it to be. And so I think that the more people that feel confident and change their reality into what they want, the better the world will be. And so we're kind of giving people a uniform to be change makers, to be, the agents that create a shift in cultural society for the better. And I also think that we are much more than that as well. And you'll see a bit of that in the future.
I can't wait. I love keeping up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, Meg, this is such a fun way to end. Thank you so much for chatting with me. You will forever be one of my favorite people. I know I've said that, but thank you so much. I'm so proud of you, and you're making such a difference in life and for sports, and just, keep it up. So proud of you.
Thanks, Steph. You unicorn, you.
You unicorn. And we'll be cheering you on this season.
Oh, thanks.
Can't wait to see what you and the Thorns do.
Knuckle sandwich.